Hello world, welcome to the 235th video on my channel where I'm building my own digital assistant named Shane, like Jarvis from the Iron Man movies and comics. In this video, I'm going to be primarily showing off a Sankey diagram and how, with Plotly Dash, and how I'm using it to visualize the property taxes in Louisiana. So first, let's check out the program. So we're going to run our Plotly Dash program, and what you see here is a Sankey diagram. So this is my property tax breakdown, and in a descending order of how much taxes contribute my total property tax. So my total property tax is $2,244, and these are the individual components right here. I live in the state of Louisiana, and we have two forms of government. The first government is the city council, which is the most common, and that does income taxes, sales taxes, things of that nature. And then we have a secondary government that it's also elected officials, and they run the property taxes, and they use that using millage rates. And so here is the individual millage rates for each one of these things that our secondary government has approved. And so for me, my total millage rate was 123.48. The total taxable value of my house, and I'll show you what that is $17,882. And the total property tax for me with all these millage rates are $2,244. Now let's say I'm very politically aware, and they say, you know what, the tax assessor is going to increase their millage rate from 3.05 to 4. And we can see what that does, right? So our total millage rate went up to 124.43, and now my total property tax is $2,261. And there you go. That is a interactive Sankey diagram with Plotly Dash. So now let's end this and take a quick look at what your property tax bill looks like, and I'll show that now. So up at the top, we have all residential lots where I'm from are assessed at $40,000. And so in where I live, it's 10% of the value. So it is $4,000, and there's no exemption for your residential lot. Your single family residence, mine was assessed at $258,820, and so 10% of that is $25,882. And as you can see, I have a $12,000 exemption. That is made up of $7,500 exemption from homestead, which means you've lived here for a certain amount of time. And then I am a disabled veteran, so I get an additional exemption for that, bringing my family residence taxable value to $13,882, meaning my total taxes is $17,882. And then all the millage rates are applied to that, and you can see the individual tax amounts, bringing my total to $2,244.07. So before I started this in Plotly Dash, and before going to ChatGPT or starting the whole process, I went into Excel so I can figure it out. So here we have all the things I just mentioned. So our residential value, family residence, 10% assessed of that, the homestead exemption, my military exemption, and then all the way down to the 17,000. Here's all the millage rates without the name. And then all citizens of where I live get charged a $36 emergency medical services for the ambulance. Even if you're a 100% disabled veteran, you still pay this $36. And then what I did over here was just made a fully adjustable calculator here. So let's say next year my property bill goes to $2,800 and none of my millages changed. this automatically calculates what they assessed my home at and what my total taxable value is. But basically all this was doing was getting me familiar to the math. All right. And then we went into Plotly Dash. And so I'm not going to go in depth into this code, but I am going to leave a link to my GitHub where you can download the code itself. So we're just going to briefly go through this. And so you'll need to import Dash and Plotly. So to do that, you can go pip install, or you can go to settings, go to your interpreter, use the plus, and then type in Dash, and then install that package. And then you can install Plotly. There you go. Then you can install that package. You can install it in either order, doesn't matter. And then we're going to import these dependencies here. I did not use state yet, I will. And then we're going to define the app. And then we're going to just put all that Excel data into here. So all the different categories that you saw on my bill. These are the individual millage rates. This 0 right here is for this emergency medical services, which lines up to this $36. Now notice how these are different lists here. Just remember that this corresponds to this, that corresponds to this. So make sure you put these in order of how you want them displayed. And so you will get a, I believe it's a out of index error if you have too many of these or not enough of these. So basically count them and make sure you've done it right. The total taxable value right now is just a constant from the Excel sheet, but I do want to eventually make that changeable as well. And then the function that your Dash Sankey diagram is going to use is calculate total property tax. We're going to pass it the millage values. The total millage is just the sum of the values. The total property tax is this constant here times the total millage divided by 1,000, because that's how millage works. And then plus $36, which is that emergency medical 6. Then we're going to return both of these. And now we're going to create the actual layout of the Sankey diagram. So these H1s and H3s, H4s, these are the headers. This is basic HTML now. And so H1 is the largest in headers, and good websites, you try to lead off with an H1. And then these are smaller as they go down. And then you just pass it. So we're going to create the Sankey diagram here. I have kind of a larger monitor, so I did need to set a margin as well. And then I'm pretty peculiar on how I format my dollars. And so this is just a formatted string here. And then we're passing it the millage rates. I is for index. So when you enumerate through these right here, so these are the categories. I is just whatever one you're enumerating on, and then it will match to this one. And then the output, these are the different inputs and outputs for the text boxes that you saw me change, and then what it outputs here. So this changes the Sankey diagram. Anytime I change those input boxes, it will change all of these three right here. And then we update the Sankey right here. Again, I'm not going to go into each one of these. And then this is what the actual figure looks like if you want to change your diagram. So I had to change the font a little bit. So that's where you do it in here, right here, this font. And then finally you run it. So now that you have an insight, again, the link to my code is in the description. Let's do run property taxes again. And now you can see more what I'm talking about. So this would be your H1. This is the smaller one right here. These are the individual, right, enumerated through each of those. So here's the names. The amounts are represented by the individual lengths of the bar. So this one right here is the largest, and it's $475.12. And that is, I guess we voted on the school board salaries. So this makes up the largest portion of my total property taxes. And then descending all the way down, this Red River waterway operation would be the smallest at $13.90. And then if you remember now, 123.48, this is the sum right here. This is one of the outputs. I have this as an output, but I leave it constant for now. And then this is one of the outputs, if you remember from the code. And that's how, these are the inputs right here. So when we change this to 4, let me go back to the code. When I changed this input to 4, the millage, that means my Sankey diagram and the figure updated, the total millage rate updated, and the total property tax updated as well. So what does that mean? So this millage rate went up, you saw that. The total property tax here went up. And then in the figure itself, this went up as well. So there you go, a fully functioning millage rate calculator. If you're from Louisiana, I hope this helps explain how your property taxes and millage works. And if you're here just for a Sankey diagram, I hope this is a good real world example of how to use a Sankey diagram. I am a self-taught programmer, and I don't learn well with just esoteric tutorials. So I learn better with these real world examples. And so if you learn that way, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, because that's how my channel is structured, just showing you real world projects. So I hope you like this video, and thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.